What if the real chaos isn't out there, but inside your own mind, reacting without your permission? Have you ever wondered why some people stay calm in a storm while others fall apart over a single word? And what if I told you that unshakable calmness isn't a gift, but a skill you can train, starting today? Life has a strange rhythm. One moment, everything seems to fall into place effortlessly, like a peaceful river gently weaving its way through the valley. There's ease, clarity, even joy. But in the blink of an eye, that calm can be shattered. Suddenly, we find ourselves tossed into emotional whirlwinds, stress, conflict, unexpected news, disappointment, and pressure crashing in all at once. It's disorienting, it's overwhelming, and yet it's also normal. This is the very nature of growth. Growth doesn't happen in perfect conditions. It arises in messiness, in the chaos that forces us to evolve, even when we feel completely unprepared. Life keeps testing us, pushing us into uncomfortable corners so that we can uncover a deeper strength within. But in the midst of these internal and external storms, a powerful question arises. Is there a way to keep our minds steady? Is there a method to remain calm no matter what chaos surrounds us? The answer is a resounding yes. Calmness is not some distant ideal reserved only for enlightened monks or emotionless sages. It's not about suppressing what we feel. In truth, calmness is a skill, a daily practice, a mental discipline, one that can be cultivated, sharpened, and strengthened just like any muscle in your body. And it all begins with mastering the one thing that defines how we experience the world, our own mind. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That simple truth is the foundation of Stoic wisdom. What disturbs us is rarely the external event itself, it's our reaction to it. And once we understand this, we can begin to train our minds to no longer be at the mercy of every emotional wave. So throughout this journey, we're not going to pretend life gets easier. It won't. But what will change is how you meet life. We're going to explore practical tools and timeless insights that help you stay grounded, even when everything around you feels like it's spinning out of control. Because at the end of the day, life isn't about avoiding chaos. It's about learning how to walk through it with clarity, stillness, and power. 1. Control your mind, or let it control you. Let's get real. Has your mind ever turned against you? Have you ever been caught in a spiral of thoughts you didn't invite? One moment you're fine, and the next a flood of anxiety, anger, or insecurity takes over. You lash out, shut down, or act out in a way that feels totally unlike you. Later, you regret it. But in that moment, it was as if something else was in charge. Something impulsive, unstable, reactive. That something was your untrained mind. The truth is, the human mind is both a brilliant tool and a wild beast. It can solve problems, envision futures, and dream dreams. But it can also panic at the smallest trigger. It reacts instantly to fear, criticism, embarrassment, or rejection. And unless we learn to direct it, it ends up running the show. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're at a social gathering. The music is soft, laughter fills the room, and you're deep in conversation with friends. Everything feels just right until someone, perhaps out of jealousy or ignorance, makes a sarcastic or critical remark about you in front of everyone. It stings hard. Now, if your mind is untrained, what happens? Your body reacts instantly. Your heart pounds. Your ego flares. Shame or anger rises up like a wave crashing on the shore. You feel the urge to defend yourself, maybe even attack back. You want to explain, argue, or maybe walk away altogether. But pause, just for a moment. Ask yourself, is that really you responding? Or is that just your wounded mind reacting on autopilot? Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, offers us a powerful reminder. We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgment about them. That single line could change your life. Because it isn't the event itself that causes pain, it's the meaning we attach to it. If you perceive that comment as an insult, you'll feel attacked. If you choose to see it as just someone else's opinion, it loses its power. It fades, like smoke in the wind. This doesn't mean we become emotionless. Stoicism isn't about numbing yourself. It's about understanding your emotions so deeply that they no longer hijack your peace. It's about responding, not reacting. So what's the next step? How do we move from emotional reactivity to emotional mastery? Previously, we explored the powerful idea that mastering your mind is the first step to mastering your life. Now, let's take that wisdom one step further into the space between emotion and action, where true self-control is forged. Control doesn't mean pretending that pain or anger don't exist. It doesn't mean faking a smile while your emotions boil inside. Instead, control is about not letting those emotions become the driver of your actions. A Stoic doesn't suppress how they feel. They simply refuse to be ruled by it. When negativity strikes, the Stoic approach begins with a pause. Not a dramatic silence, but a conscious moment of separation. A breath, a heartbeat, enough to observe what's rising inside. Instead of becoming the anger, you witness it. You name it. You feel it without acting on it. Let's go back to the party. That same unpleasant comment is thrown your way again. This time, though, you don't let the insult take the wheel. You take a deep breath. You pause. And instead of narrowing your eyes or lashing out, you look calmly at the person who criticized you, not with arrogance or defiance, but with composure. Because now you understand something essential. Their words only have power if you hand it to them. You might respond softly. You might say nothing at all. Perhaps offer a small smile and let it drift past like a leaf on water. You've already won. Why? Because the real victory isn't in proving them wrong. It's in proving to yourself that you are not controlled by fleeting emotions. This isn't just a personal victory. It's a quiet shock to those around you. When someone lashes out at you, they expect a reaction. They feed off it. But when their drama is met with calm, their energy hits a wall. They expected a fire. Instead, they meet still water. And in that moment, they are the ones who begin to feel off balance. That, right there, is the power of mastering your own mind. But let's be honest, this kind of mental discipline doesn't come overnight. It's not something you unlock once and keep forever. It's a practice, a daily one. And the best place to begin isn't with massive challenges, but with the small irritations that pepper your life. Let's say you're driving. A reckless driver swerves in front of you without warning. The natural response? Frustration, maybe even rage. But what if, instead, you remembered that you cannot control them? You can only control how you respond. Or maybe someone says something sharp to you, something intended to sting. You feel that heat rising, but before it boils over, you remind yourself, their words are not who I am. This is the real Stoic training ground, not in grand philosophical debates, but in the ordinary moments that quietly define your day. And no, controlling your mind doesn't make you cold or robotic. On the contrary, it gives you freedom. Freedom from being a prisoner to every passing mood or emotional trigger. You don't become less human. You become more powerful, more peaceful. You choose how to feel. You choose how to respond. And most importantly, you choose how to live. Because if you don't take charge of your mind, it will take charge of you. 2. Anger doesn't solve problems. It creates them. Anger. It's one of the most explosive human emotions and one of the most misunderstood. There's nothing wrong with feeling angry. It's natural. But when anger is allowed to take the wheel, that's when things spiral. We lose clarity. We lose wisdom. We say things we don't mean, do things we can't undo. It may feel like anger gives us power, especially in the heat of the moment. Yelling, resisting, fighting back. It seems like we're reclaiming control. But are we? Let's explore that with another everyday situation. Imagine you're driving to work one morning. The road is packed, but you're cruising steadily. Then, out of nowhere, a car cuts you off. No signal, no space, just reckless aggression. Your heart jumps, adrenaline surges. Instantly, your mind cries out, unfair. You feel insulted, disrespected, and anger kicks in, fast and loud. What do? You could slam the gas pedal and tail them in rage. You could lay on the horn, curse under your breath, or shout through the windshield. But pause for a second and ask yourself, will any of this actually help? Will anger fix the situation, or will only make it worse? Because when you're controlled by anger, the outcomes are never wise. You risk causing an accident. You risk a dangerous encounter. But more than anything else, you lose your calm. You give away your peace. And for what? Stoicism teaches us that while we may not be able to control the behavior of others, we always have authority over our own response. As Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That lesson doesn't just apply to ancient philosophers, it applies to you right now, in the car, in the meeting, in the conflict, in every moment of your life. So, how do we begin applying this wisdom in real time? What does it actually look like to transform these teachings into instinct? Previously, we uncovered a powerful truth. Anger isn't the enemy, it's a signal. And when handled wisely, it becomes a tool for growth, not destruction. But what do we do with that signal? That's where the real strength begins to show. So, how do we deal with anger when it strikes? When someone says something that provokes you, something cruel, unfair, or just downright rude, the automatic impulse is to snap, to push back, to let the fire out. But here's the key. Instead of reacting on impulse, pause, breathe, and ask yourself one simple but life-changing question. Is this truly worth losing my peace over? If the answer is no, then that anger doesn't deserve your energy. You see, anger isn't inherently bad. It's a messenger, not a monster. It tells you something's wrong. It rises when we feel disrespected, overlooked, or treated unjustly. But that doesn't mean it should dictate your next move. Instead of using anger as a license to lash out, use it as a reminder to investigate. Why did this hurt me so deeply? What's the real source of this discomfort? Is it about them, or is it about something unresolved within me? Let's take another common scenario. Someone offends you, crosses a line, or treats you unfairly. Your heart beats faster, your breath shortens, your fists tighten. You want to react, to fight back. But wait, will yelling really solve anything? Will it change their mind? Or will it only make the fire bigger? In many cases, anger doesn't solve the problem, it amplifies it. It fogs your thinking, poisons your words, and often leaves behind regret. That's why true strength isn't in how loud you can yell, it's in how calmly you can respond when every part of you wants to scream. Even when the world seems unreasonable, even when people act without respect or integrity, your power lies not in controlling them, but in controlling yourself. There's a widespread belief that staying silent or calm in conflict is a form of weakness, but nothing could be further from the truth. In reality, the one who can stay composed while under pressure, the one who doesn't let anger hijack their behavior, is often the strongest person in the room, because anyone can lose their temper. That takes no effort, but to stand steady in the middle of an emotional storm, that takes inner mastery. Imagine this. Two people are in a heated disagreement. One is shouting red-faced, trying to dominate the space. The other is quiet, composed, fully present. Who has more control? Who do others look to for leadership, for stability, for wisdom? Calmness is not weakness, it's power wearing quiet clothes. And that brings us to the heart of this next lesson. 3. Calmness is not weakness, it's strength. Modern society often gets it backward. It tells us that those who are the loudest in the room, the most aggressive in their opinions, or the fastest to anger are the ones with real influence. That power belongs to those who dominate others, raise their voice, or fight to be heard. But true power doesn't look like domination. It looks like self-mastery. The one who remains calm in the face of confrontation isn't avoiding the fight. They're choosing a better battlefield, one where clarity, patience, and precision win over raw emotional outbursts. Let's say you're in a meeting. You've just shared an idea you believe in, something thoughtful, well-considered, and then a colleague cuts you off, not just disagreeing, but refuting your idea with a harsh, almost disrespectful tone. The air goes still. The room is watching. What do? You have two paths. Path 1, fight fire with fire. Raise your voice. Defend yourself with the same sharpness. You win the moment, but lose your calm and possibly your credibility. Path 2, stay composed. Speak with clarity, not heat. Let your ideas stand on their own merit, unshaken. You may not win with volume, but you earn respect with restraint. Which one feels more powerful? Because here's the truth. When you let someone else's anger dictate your reaction, you become their puppet. But when you hold your center, when you maintain emotional autonomy, you become the anchor in the room. And calmness doesn't mean surrender. It means refusing to let your peace be stolen by someone else's chaos. So next time someone raises their voice, challenges your opinion, or pushes your buttons, remember, you are the one holding the remote control to your response. And in the next part of our journey, we'll explore how calmness can become a deliberate strategy, one you can train, reinforce, and apply in every area of your life, from personal conflict to leadership moments. In the last section, we explored how calmness isn't just personal, it's a strategic force. Now, let's see how that inner discipline plays out in real situations, especially when the pressure rises and the room is watching. Imagine again that meeting scenario. Your idea just got publicly challenged. You stand at a crossroads. One path leads to impulsive reaction, maybe raising your voice, snapping back, or taking it personally. That choice often turns a professional moment into a personal confrontation. And once that line is crossed, solutions take a back seat while egos take the wheel. But what if you chose the other path? You pause. You observe, not just your own emotions, but theirs too. You take a steady breath, and then you respond, calmly but firmly, not with hesitation, but with confidence rooted in clarity. By doing this, something powerful happens. The tension in the room doesn't escalate, it dissolves. People around you, even those who may have doubted you, begin to shift. They respect your presence. Why? Because true composure under fire speaks louder than any raised voice. Your calmness doesn't just protect your dignity, it reframes the entire dynamic. You become the voice of reason, the one others begin to look to, the one who remains grounded when others lose their footing. This isn't just theory, it's been proven on the world stage. Take Mahatma Gandhi, for instance. He stood in defiance of the British Empire, one of the most powerful and brutal colonial forces in history. But how did he respond? Not with rage, not with weapons, but with nonviolence, truth, and relentless calm. He followed the principles of ahimsa, non-harming, and satyagraha, truth force. Instead of fueling more destruction, he inspired unity through dignity. One of the most iconic moments of this movement was the Salt March of 1930, when Gandhi led thousands of Indians on a 380-kilometer journey to protest the British salt tax. They didn't carry weapons. They didn't scream or destroy. They simply walked. And yet, this quiet march shook the foundation of the British Empire. When the authorities responded with violence, Gandhi and his followers remained peaceful. Their calmness was not passivity, it was power. The world took notice. History remembers. He proved to humanity that real strength has nothing to do with aggression and everything to do with restraint. The louder someone shouts, the more they reveal their lack of control. The quicker someone loses their temper, the clearer it becomes. Their strength is a mask, hiding insecurity and emotional volatility. And what about you? When you choose not to react as expected, when you don't match someone's anger with your own, you immediately change the dynamic. They lose their grip, you regain yours. That moment of restraint is a declaration. I am in charge of myself, not you, not this chaos. Remaining calm in the face of provocation isn't weakness, it's a statement of inner power. It tells the world you are not a puppet to your emotions or a slave to someone else's behavior. It says, I decide my state of mind. A truly strong person doesn't need to prove anything by shouting. They don't need to dominate others to feel secure. They don't crumble under pressure. They rise above it. Why? Because they understand something most people never learn. Self-mastery is the highest form of power. Once you learn to rule your own mind, your reactions, your emotions, your impulses, no one can manipulate you. No insult can shake you. No circumstance can bend you. Because true strength doesn't come from what you can control out there. It comes from what you've learned to command within. And when you remain calm, even before any conflict plays out, you've already won. So how do we carry this power forward when life itself feels unfair? In the last section, we saw that true strength begins with mastering your emotions, not your surroundings. But what happens when life itself feels unfair? How do we stay grounded when justice seems absent? You pour your heart into a project. You stay up late, go the extra mile, give your best effort, only to watch someone else who did far less walk away with the recognition or promotion. You show kindness, loyalty, and integrity to others, yet the same people turn around and betray your trust. It stings, doesn't it? And it's natural to feel disillusioned, to wonder what's the point of doing good if life doesn't reward it. But here's the harsh truth. Injustice is part of life. No matter how kind, hardworking, or sincere you are, there will be moments when life seems to hand the reward to someone else. If you allow that unfairness to define your outlook, you'll end up trapped in a cycle of bitterness, resentment, and endless disappointment. Stoicism offers us a different lens. It reminds us of something powerful. You can't change the world to suit your desires, but you can change the way you respond to it. Rather than suffering over what's outside your control, Stoicism teaches you to focus your energy inward, on the one thing that's always yours to master, yourself. When you fully grasp this, something shifts. Life's unfairness stops feeling like a personal attack. It becomes what it is, just another part of reality, like the rain or the sun. You don't waste time yelling at the clouds. You learn to carry an umbrella, or better yet, dance in the storm. Need an example of this mindset in action? Meet Nick Vujicic. He didn't just imagine a hardship, he lives it. Born with a rare condition called tetra amelia syndrome, Nick came into the world with no arms and no legs, a reality that to most would seem like the ultimate misfortune. Nick's early life was filled with pain, physical, emotional, spiritual. As a child, he battled depression, loneliness, and a deep sense of helplessness. At one point, he even considered ending his life. But then came a moment of clarity. If he couldn't change his condition, then he would change his perspective. And that changed everything. Nick taught himself to brush his teeth, write, use a computer, and even swim. With nothing but his small torso, he learned to play soccer and take care of himself independently. But he didn't stop there. He became one of the world's most inspirational speakers, touching millions with his story. Not because he was perfect, but because he refused to be defined by his limitations. Nick is living, breathing proof of this Stoic truth. We cannot control our circumstances, but we can always control ourselves. That's the very essence of Stoicism. You may not get to choose your storm, but you always choose how you face it. Imagine standing in the middle of a violent storm. The winds howl, the rain pours. You can curse the sky, scream at the wind, or you can take shelter, reflect, and learn how to walk through the rain with grace. One path leads to victimhood, the other to resilience. The person who clings to resentment becomes a prisoner of their circumstances. But the one who embraces the Stoic mindset, they rise, they grow, they remain undefeated. So, how do you bring this mindset into your daily life? Start small. Next time you feel overlooked, disrespected, or treated unfairly, ask yourself, will anger, bitterness, or complaint change anything? If the answer is no, why waste your precious energy on it? Instead, redirect that focus toward what you can control. Improve your craft, deepen your character, strengthen your mindset, build resilience like a fortress, brick by brick, moment by moment. Because yes, life isn't always fair, but that doesn't matter. What matters is how you choose to respond. Will you allow injustice to break you, or will you turn it into the very force that shapes you into something greater? Before we dive into the next part of this journey, can I ask you a quick favor? If what you've heard so far has inspired you, even just a little, if you've smiled, nodded, or had one of those aha moments, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Why? Because every like and every subscription sends a signal, not just to YouTube, but to the universe, that this message matters, that there's value in building inner strength, peace, and purpose. And you never know, your one click might help someone else find exactly what they need today. So let's keep growing. Let's keep going. And as we move forward, let's look at the next Stoic lesson that could change the way you see the world and yourself. In the previous part, we discovered that how we respond to life's unfairness defines who we become. Now, let's take a deeper look at one of the biggest myths we've all believed, the idea that losing control is something that just happens to us. Think back to a recent moment where you lost your cool. Maybe someone insulted you. Maybe a bad day pushed you to the edge. Maybe you snapped at someone you love. In that moment, it felt like your emotions took over. But now, looking back, ask yourself honestly, did I really lose control? Or did I choose not to keep it? That's what we're about to unpack. 5. Losing control is a choice. Many of us grow up believing that our emotions are dictated by what happens around us, by how others behave, what they say, and the circumstances we find ourselves in. If someone disrespects us, we get angry. If something unexpected happens, we panic. If life is unfair, we break down. But Stoicism flips this belief on its head. It tells us you don't lose control because of what others do. You lose control because you allow yourself to. Let's walk through a familiar example. You're standing in a long line at the supermarket. You're tired, you're hungry, and you just want to get home. Then, without a word, someone blatantly cuts right in front of you. Instantly, your heart races, your jaw tightens, anger surges through you. You want to say something, loudly, maybe even confront them. But then, you remember something essential. You cannot control their actions, but you can always control your reaction. You take a breath, you pause, and now you have two paths in front of you. Let anger consume you and escalate the situation, or remain calm, grounded, and act with dignity. The choice is yours. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic minds, once said, "Remember, it is not enough to be hit or insulted to be harmed. You must believe that you are being harmed." Let that sink in. No one can truly make you feel disrespected, offended, or wounded unless you give them that power. Anger doesn't come from the insult. It comes from your interpretation of it. When someone says something hurtful and you react with fury, you've surrendered control. When a sudden problem arises and you spiral into panic, it's because you've let the moment dominate your mind. But here's the flip side. If you don't give them control, they don't have it. Think of someone you admire. Maybe it's a teacher who always kept their cool, a boss who never yelled, or a friend who stayed calm even when everyone else lost their temper. Have you ever wondered why they don't explode like others? It's not that they never feel anger or frustration. They're human too, but they've internalized one powerful truth. Losing control is a choice, and they choose not to lose it. Let me share a simple story that brings this to life. One day, during rush hour, a crowded train jolts as it stops. A young man accidentally steps on the foot of an elderly gentleman. The young man quickly apologizes, clearly embarrassed. But the old man, he just nods, smiles gently, and returns to reading his book. A curious passenger, surprised by the old man's calmness, asks, "Why aren't you upset? If it were me, I would have said something." The old man replies, "He didn't do it on purpose. And besides, my anger won't make the pain go away. It will only weigh down my mind." What a powerful response. This moment reminds us most people assume anger is automatic, that if something unpleasant happens, we must react. But the truth is, emotions only take root based on how we interpret the event. One person sees being cut in line as unforgivable disrespect. Another sees it as a test of patience. One person hears criticism and feels insulted. Another hears the same words and sees a chance to grow. It's all about the lens you choose to wear. So how do we train ourselves to stay in control? Start by recognizing this. You always have a choice. When you feel that surge of anger, stress, or frustration building, pause, just for a few seconds, and ask yourself, will this reaction help me? If the answer is no, then don't give it your energy. Let it go. Sometimes silence is more powerful than 1,000 clever comebacks. Sometimes the most unsettling response you can give someone is calm. Because in a world that expects you to react, the person who chooses peace holds all the power. So what does it really mean to take ownership of your emotional state? Not just in theory, but in your everyday life. In the last part, we revealed a powerful truth. Losing control is not something that just happens. It's a choice. And that choice begins with awareness. Now let's go even deeper into the thoughts that shape your reality and how mastering them leads to lasting inner peace. Words are powerful, but thoughts are where everything begins. If your mind is full of tension, chaos will find its way into your actions. But if you can catch the moment your thoughts start spiraling into anger, fear, or anxiety, you can stop that emotional wildfire before it spreads. So what do you do when that internal storm begins? You pause, and you remind yourself, I cannot control others, but I can always control myself. That one sentence can ground you in a moment of emotional turbulence. Now, this doesn't mean you should accept disrespect or tolerate injustice blindly. Stoicism isn't about becoming passive. It's about becoming wise in your response. Instead of being dragged around by your emotions, you become intentional, strategic, centered. You begin choosing how to respond rather than letting circumstances dictate your state of mind. And that's where true strength lives. It's not in loud reactions or dramatic gestures. It's in calm clarity, even when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. When you master this inner peace, this mental stillness, nothing can shake you. You become the eye of the storm. That's one of the core principles of Stoicism. You cannot control the world, but you can always control how you perceive it. And in that perception lies your power. Because whether you stay calm or lose yourself to chaos, it's always a decision. Your decision. 6. Don't get stuck in the past or the future. Let's shift gears now and talk about another common mental trap, time. Have you ever felt weighed down by regret over something you said or didn't say? Have you ever lost sleep worrying about a situation that hasn't even happened yet? If so, you're not alone. Most people don't live in the present. They're either trapped in memories they can't change or haunted by outcomes they can't control. They carry the weight of what was and the anxiety of what might be. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. The only time that truly belongs to you is now. If you want to train your mind to stay calm under pressure, it starts with breaking free from that vicious loop of past and future. Because that loop is where stress, regret, and fear multiply. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "Remember that man lives only in the present, in this fleeting instant. All the rest of his life is either past and gone or not yet revealed." This isn't just philosophical poetry, it's a practical warning. When you obsess over the past, you're replaying a movie you can't edit. When you worry about the future, you're scripting a scene you haven't even entered yet. But when you ground yourself in the now, you unlock your greatest power, the ability to act, change, and lead yourself. So how do you train your mind to stay in the present? The answer lies in a practice as old as Stoicism itself, mindfulness. No, it doesn't mean sitting cross-legged on a mountaintop or meditating for hours. Mindfulness is simple, accessible, grounded in daily life. It means paying full attention to the moment you're in. It means becoming aware of your breath, your body, the sensations around you. It means noticing when your mind drifts and gently guiding it back. Each time your thoughts wander to past mistakes or imagined disasters, bring yourself back to the breath, to your surroundings, to the present task. There's a great story about Novak Djokovic, one of the greatest tennis champions in history. At the height of his career, he admitted something surprising. Despite his success, he used to lose focus during matches, not because of his opponents, but because of his thoughts. He'd obsess over past defeats. He'd fear the next point. He'd lose control, not to the player across the net, but to his own mind, and it cost him dearly. But once he trained himself to return, again and again, to the present, to the ball, the moment, the breath, everything changed. His performance sharpened. His composure became legendary. And so can yours. Because mindfulness isn't just a mental technique, it's a Stoic superpower. In the last section, we explored how staying anchored in the present moment is a superpower, one that not only keeps you focused, but also gives you control over your emotions. Now, let's build on that and ask a deeper question. What happens when the world around you becomes chaotic? Can you still hold your calm? Let's go back to the story of Novak Djokovic. His journey proves a truth far beyond tennis courts, that real success isn't just built on talent or physical strength. It's built on the ability to control the mind, especially under pressure. His rise to the top wasn't just about mastering the game, it was about mastering the moment, staying rooted in what's right in front of him, no matter what happened before or what could happen next. And that applies to all of us, not just athletes. Whether you're working in a fast-paced office, raising kids, building a dream, or just trying to survive the day, if you let the past and the future dominate your thinking, you'll always feel like you're drowning. But when you focus on the present, you begin to discover something powerful: clarity, strength, and peace. So what about you? Do you find yourself haunted by past mistakes or trapped in anxiety over a future you can't control? If so, you're not alone. Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're learning to stay present in your own life. Now, 7. Life is chaotic, but calmness lies within you. Here's something we all know deep down. Life is unpredictable. You can wake up full of optimism, ready for a smooth day, and then out of nowhere it hits you. A stressful message, an argument, a canceled plan, a betrayal you never saw coming. One moment of chaos can throw off your entire emotional balance. That's because chaos is the natural rhythm of the world. It's not personal, it just is. But amid the noise, there's always one thing you can rely on: your mind, your reactions, your response. You may not be able to control the world, but you can always control your inner state. And that inner calm, that's your superpower. When the people around you are losing control, when tension builds, when everyone seems to be swept away by stress, the one who remains calm becomes a steady light in the storm. Have you ever noticed how powerful it feels when someone remains calm in a tense situation? That quiet, composed presence, it shifts the energy in the room. That person becomes the anchor, the one others begin to trust. That could be you. True strength doesn't lie in reacting louder or faster. It lies in choosing not to react impulsively at all. Let me give you a simple example. You're driving on a packed, busy road. Another driver cuts you off and you have to slam your brakes to avoid a collision. Your instinct might be to react, blow the horn, yell, get frustrated. But here's the question. Will that make the situation better? Will it bring peace or more stress? Now imagine this instead. You feel that initial anger rise and you breathe. You recognize that yelling won't change what just happened. You decide to let it pass and stay focused on your journey. In that moment, you didn't just avoid unnecessary stress. You proved to yourself that you are in control. These moments show up every single day. Someone might insult you. A project might fall apart at the last minute. A friend might betray your trust. You can't prevent those things. But what truly matters isn't what happens. It's what you do next. Because if you allow your emotions to explode without reflection, you hand over your power. You become a slave to your environment. But if you choose calm, you reclaim that power. Think about it. When someone is angry, they want you to match their anger. When someone is panicked, they want your fear to validate theirs. But when you remain calm, they lose control. You've refused to let their storm enter your space. You've stayed grounded in your own peace. And that, right there, is mastery. In our last section, we uncovered a profound realization. Calmness isn't weakness, it's mastery. The ability to remain grounded in chaos isn't about avoiding conflict, but about consciously choosing a response that reflects inner strength. Now, let's take that wisdom one step further and explore how this strength plays out in our daily lives, especially when emotions run high and pressure mounts. First, let's make something clear. Calmness is not indifference. It is not avoidance. It's not about pretending things don't matter or bottling everything up inside. Instead, calmness is the art of self-regulation, of staying rooted when someone else is trying to pull you into their storm. Think about this familiar situation, a heated family argument. Someone says something sharp, maybe even intentionally hurtful. Your heart rate spikes, your fists clench, your mind races with comebacks, arguments, all the things you want to say. But instead of immediately responding, you stop. Just for a moment, you breathe. You realize silence can sometimes be the strongest answer. And in that moment of pause, something shifts. The other person expected you to react, to fight back, to fuel the fire. But when you don't give them that reaction, they're left to face their own words. They may even hear themselves more clearly and reflect on what they said. This is the hidden power of calm. True victory doesn't come from getting the last word. It comes from maintaining control when the world wants you to lose it. Of course, life will test you. There will be moments of real pain, disappointment, and injustice. But no matter what happens, remember this: circumstances don't define you. Your response does. There is deep, quiet power in stillness. It's not passive, it's focused. It says, I won't be dragged into emotional chaos. I will choose peace no matter what. Because when you can remain calm, not just occasionally, but consistently, you don't just manage your emotions, you shape your entire destiny. So the question becomes, when the storms of life come, will you let them carry you away, or will you stand steady in the silence of strength? 8. Don't let circumstances define you. Life is a continuous stream of events, many of them beyond our control. Some of us are born into poverty. Others face abandonment, loss, or trauma early on. Challenges can arrive in waves that feel far too heavy to carry. And in those moments, a quiet question always rises in the heart. Can I change my destiny? According to Stoic philosophy, the answer is both powerful and clear. Yes, but not by changing the world around you, by changing how you meet it. Let's bring this to life with a story. Imagine a young boy born into a struggling family. From the moment he could walk, he hears whispers behind his back. He'll never amount to anything. The people around him assume the worst. They look at his poverty, his surroundings, his lack of resources, and decide his future for him. At first, he believes them. He carries that weight like a chain. He thinks people like him aren't allowed to dream, that the ceiling is already set. But then something shifts. One day, he questions the narrative. He realizes a truth that would change his life forever. Circumstances are just the stage, not the script. They might define where the story begins, but they don't determine where it ends. And from that moment on, he begins to rewrite his story. Not all at once, not in grand leaps, but bit by bit. He studies, he trains, he fails, he learns, he grows. And through that effort, something extraordinary emerges. Not just success, but self-respect. Epictetus, one of the wisest voices in Stoicism, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This isn't just a motivational quote, it's a life compass. Because in truth, what you go through does not define you. What defines you is how you walk through it. When life hits hard, you have two choices: accept the script that others hand you, or rise up and write your own. Those who let their circumstances define them often feel helpless. They complain, they blame, they surrender. They live as if the present moment is a prison cell. But Stoicism invites us to a better path. Acceptance without surrender, clarity without defeat, progress without excuses. Back to that boy. What changed his life wasn't some miracle or lucky break. It was mindset. He stopped believing that poverty meant permanence. He stopped letting other people define his worth. And maybe that's your lesson too. Maybe you're in the middle of a tough season. Maybe you've been dealt a hand that seems unfair, heavy, even unbearable. But hear this, you are not what you're going through. You are how you rise above it. So when society tries to box you in, when people throw labels your way, stay calm, stay silent, stand tall, and whisper to yourself, I am not defined by my circumstances. I am the author of my path. Because strength isn't about shouting. It's not about overpowering others. It's about standing steady. It's about choosing your response. And when you truly understand that calmness is a skill, a strength, a discipline, then nothing can shake you. Marcus Aurelius knew it. Seneca knew it. Epictetus lived it. And now, you do too. So what about you? Have you had moments where you practiced stoic calmness? Or moments where your emotions got the better of you and you wished you could go back? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your journey. And if this message resonated with you, if it helped you feel just a little more grounded, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's spread this message. Let's help someone else find their strength. Because sometimes the quietest truths are the ones we need the most. There's still more to learn, more wisdom to unlock. So keep going, and I'll see you in the next video.